Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. This is day 3 of our Bible plan, man. And it's late today, but better late than never, right? So let's make sure we get it in today. This is gonna be a quick video by now. If you guys haven't, go ahead and watch the other 2 videos. By now, you know we come in. We're gonna talk about what the Bible plan says. We're gonna read over the devotional, answer the questions, and then if you want to know the feedback from the group so far, make sure you guys tap the link in the description and join the Bible plan itself, so that you can tap into our group chat and leave your feedback and thoughts on the verse and stuff like that. So today we're going to get into it. It's trusting God's plan and the waiting, and this is day 3 of 22. Again, we're going to try to stay consistent 22 days straight. Make sure that I'm recording and interacting, making videos and posting. Just showing you guys that it's possible to stay consistent in God. Even like I said, it's late right now today, Saturday night. But we wanted to make sure that we got it in. And hopefully we got a video coming up tomorrow. And if God gives us another day, so I'm excited to get into this one with you guys today. It's been a great... So far over the course of the plan, what we've learned is the story of Joseph. We've learned how he's had favoritism between his dad, the animosity that has occurred because of his brothers. We've learned that, you have to have maturity and understanding when God gives you a vision, that sometimes it's not for you to tell everybody, but sometimes God only gives you the vision just for you. And that's okay. Sometimes we have dreams and stuff, and when we tell people our dreams, it kind of brings out their fears and their doubts and their insecurities and things that they have on themselves, and they ultimately project it on us. But when God gives you a vision, know that vision is already come to fruition. It's just waiting on the steps to align. When God gives you something that's for you, just trust that nobody or nothing can take it away from you. So let's get into day 3 and understand where Joseph is, and let's get into it, right? So as always, I'm going to read it. I will do an overlay of what the Bible verse says, or what the devotion says, and you can read it on your own. Screenshot, do whatever you need to do, and then we'll talk about it after, okay? So, day 3, when bad things happen to good people. Today's reading has more backstabbing and drama than a daytime soap opera. Jacob sends Joseph out to bring yet another report on his brothers. Didn't the last report cause a lot of friction in the family? I guess Jacob didn't notice that. Joseph eventually finds his brothers in a different place than he was told. To say they aren't thrilled to see him is an understatement of the year. They actually plot to kill their little brother, all because of those crazy dreams he was bragging about. The plan? Kill him and blame it on an animal attack. But big brother Reuben suggests throwing Joseph in a cistern or a big well just so he can come back later and get him out. After all, Joseph is his brother. So here comes Joseph, wearing the same jealousy-inspiring coat, painstakingly sewn by his father. His brothers grab that stinking coat, strip it off him, and throw it into an empty cistern. Ironically, the coat represented the covering of the father's love and protection, but now it was taken from him. I picture they cold-heartedly eat lunch close by while Joseph screams his head off, begging them to let him out. It's really quite a sad picture. An opportunity arises when a group of Ishmaelites, distant cousins of theirs, pass by heading to Egypt. So the brothers decide, instead of killing Joseph, to sell him as a slave. At least his blood will not be on their hands, and they'd be rid of him for good. They pull Joseph out of the well and sell him for 20 shekels of silver. There's neatly hidden a meaning in the 20 shekel that brings even more spiritual meaning to the story if you check out today's The Little Extra. And remember, The Little Extra is like their podcast that they put along with the devotion, so you can check that out if you want. But it says, sin usually involves the death or destruction of something. In this case, they cover up the heinous act by killing a goat and spreading its blood all over Joseph's precious coat. But even worse, they later make their dad assume an animal killed Joseph. He's grief-stricken beyond comfort. Now they must live with the hidden guilt of the horrible betrayal. All the while, Joseph ends up being sold as a slave in Egypt to a guy named Potiphar, the captain of the guard for Pharaoh. This guy is like the head of Pharaoh's security detail. He's a big deal with a very important boss. This divine connection will be one of the many ways Joseph's setbacks will ultimately be a setup. Can you relate to Joseph in this part of the story? He was doing what he thought was right, checking in on his brothers, but it went horribly wrong. I doubt he would have gone to see them if he thought this could happen. Be reminded that God can use bad things to grow you and bring you into his ultimate plan for you. Preparing sometimes means preparing, meaning stripping yourself of everything you've come to rely on to do something bigger and better through you. Oh, Joseph is about to get a lot of preparing going on. Questions. Who do you identify with more, Joseph or his brothers, and why? Just like the brothers, have you ever lived with a hidden sin you knew might really hurt someone if you told the truth? What takeaways did you get from today's reading? Okay, so let's start with the first one. I think in this story, I think we kind of side with both of them, right? I think there's been instances where, you identify with Joseph because you think you're doing the right thing, but then you identify with the brothers because you're like, just kind of sick of it. You're kind of fed up. You're kind of over it at this point, and you're like, well, I'm just going to take matters into my own hands. And I think that comes back to alignment with, the Bible plan itself of waiting on God and understanding that, God's time is not always, it's not always ideal. It's not always glorified, but, it's the right thing to wait on. So I think I kind of identify with both of them in this case because, you want to be consistent in the things that you're supposed to do, but then you also want things to happen. You don't want to just keep waiting. And just like the brothers, have you ever lived with a hidden sin might really hurt somebody if you told the truth? I mean, to be honest, I can't really think of a time, but I know that there's a time where, you've hid something or hid the truth from somebody just to kind of spare feelings. But in this case, it's kind of weird because they told their dad that their brother died, and I think that's just kind of like taking it overboard. What takeaways did you get from today's reading? Today's reading really, to me, kind of stood out to say that you never know what's really going to happen on the other side. Joseph's in a pretty bad situation right now, but because I'm familiar with the story, I know where it ends, and it's crazy to think like what his mindset is now that he's actually going through it. The things that his brothers are doing to him, the things that he's actually vividly experiencing, being thrown in the cistern, being sold into slavery. It's crazy just to know that like out of all this, something crazy is about to happen. And today's verse is Genesis 37. Soon after this, Joseph's brothers went to the pasture, their father's flocks at Shechem. When they had gone for some time, Jacob said to Joseph, "Your brothers are pasturing the sheep at Shechem. Get ready and I will send you to them." "I'm ready to go," Joseph replied. "Go and see how your brothers and flocks are getting along. Then come back and bring me a report." So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem for the home in the valley of Hebron. When he arrived there, a man from the area noticed him wandering around the countryside. "What are you looking for?" he asked. "I'm looking for my brothers," Joseph replied. "Do you know where they are, pasturing their sheep?" "Yes," the man told him. "They have moved on from here, but I heard them say, 'Let's go to Dothan.'" So Joseph followed his brothers to Dothan and found them there. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance. As he approached, they made plans to kill him. "Here comes the dreamer," they said. "Come on, let's kill him and throw him in one of the cisterns. We can tell our father a wild animal is eating him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams." But when Reuben heard of the scheme, he came to Joseph's rescue. "Let's not kill him," he said. "Why should we have any blood? Let's just throw him into an empty cistern here in the wilderness. Then he'll die without our laying a hand on him." Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and returning him to his father. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off his beautiful robe that he was wearing. Then they grabbed and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty. There was no water in it. Then, just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming towards them. It was a group of Ishmaelite traders taking a load of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What would we gain killing our brother? We'd have to cover up the crime. Instead of hurting him, let's sell him to those Ishmaelite traders. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." And his brothers agreed. So when the Ishmaelites, who were Midianite traders, came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern and sold him for 20 pieces of silver. And the traders took him to Egypt. Some time later, Reuben returned to get Joseph out of the cistern. When he discovered that Joseph was missing, he tore his clothes in grief. Then he went back to his brothers and lamented, "The boy is gone. What will I do now?" Then the brothers killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe in the blood. They sent the beautiful robe to their father with the message, "Look at what we found. Doesn't this robe belong to your son?" Their father recognized it immediately. "Yes," he said. It's my son's robe. A wild animal must have eaten him. Joseph has clearly been torn to pieces. Then Jacob tore his clothes and dressed himself in burlap. He mourned deeply for his son for a long time. His family all tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. I will go to my grave mourning for my son, he would say, and then he would weep. Meanwhile, the Midianite traders arrived in Egypt, where they sold Joseph to Potiphar, an officer in Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was captain of the palace's guard. Alright, man, that's it for today. Day 3. I thank you all for being here. Glad you found this video. Make sure you guys hit the link in the description. If you want to know what the group chat is saying about today's reading, it's really getting exciting. The guys are really getting involved. So I'm curious to see what you all think about it as well. If you made it this far to the video, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell as we're dropping videos every day on this 22 days of letting God use us. And I'll see you next time in the next video. Keep mastering. Love y'all. God bless. Let's go.